Alright, what we have today is a Kirik Rerick deck. This is a rare cluster only, and we're focusing on one attribute, and we'll be playing all Firestones. It's pretty good for beginners, really. That's what we're gearing it towards, and then it really only has 3 secret rares that you really need to trade for. Now, the first reason why we want to play this deck is because of Hellflame. Hellflame is a 1-cost quick cast card. As an additional cost to play this card, remove X strength counters from your J ruler. J slash ruler, this card deals X 100 damage to J slash resonator. So you can trade really early. Like, you can ping things super early. You start the game with 10 counters, and you could on turn 1 deal 10,000 damage to a J slash resonator. That's really strong. So Kirik's judgment cost is 3. That's kind of standard within Rare Cluster now. He has an energized token as well if he's going second. At the beginning of the game, put 10 strength counters on this card. He can tap himself, put X strength counters on this card, where X is 10 minus the number of strength counters on this card. So basically, when you tap him, he goes back up to 10 strength counters. The idea of the deck is to probably Judgment, and then spend your strength counters in a way that creates a advantageous board state for you. On his J ruler side, he has precision, so he can attack recovered J slash resonators. His automatic enter ability is when this card enters your field, put X strength counters on it, where X is 15 minus the number of strength counters on this card. So he goes up to 15. Remove 5 strength counters from this card, and it deals 500 damage to target J slash resonator. So he could activate twice or 3 times and deal 1500 damage to target J slash resonator, and that's really strong. That's kind of the idea on what we want to do with this deck. You're spending pseudo resources, like half measured resources, to gain a better presence on the board. So we've already gone over Hellflame. Now we're really looking for cards that support the idea of tapping our ruler and then recovering it to top up on resources. So Howl Pig is kind of the basic there. It's a 1-drop. You play it early. You can start to swing with it, and then if the opponent is going to kill it, you can tap your J ruler in response, and then banish the pig, and it'll recover your ruler. Alternatively, on turn 3 and 4, you can start to call a stone, and then you can banish the pig to recover your ruler, and then you can have enough to judgment your J ruler as well. Really strong card. Probably looking at playing it on turn 1 or 2, and then you can start to combo it off easily. Meeting Howl Pig with the 1-drops, we have Apprentice Cook. When this card enters the field, put 2 strength counters on your J ruler. J slash ruler. So it has 300 attack and 400 defense. It's not great, but we are looking for the extra strength counters. It's only run at a 3 of. Yeah, just run as 3 of. It's not a high priority card, but it is good to start to establish yourself on the board. Next we have Howl Soros. This card is incredible and probably one of the best tempo oriented cards for red that is less than 3 cost. So 1 or 2 cost, highest tempo card that we can have. When this card enters the field, it deals 300 damage to target J slash resonator. This is really important, establishing this deck onto the board naturally. So we're looking for enter effects or 1 cost removal. This guy just ticks all the boxes. He has this kind of standard stats as well, 600, 600 for 2, basic, and then it removes something for a higher tempo oriented play. Next, for 2 costs, we have Stone-Tongued Basilisk. When this card attack, it deals plus 200. It gains plus 200 until end of turn. So it becomes an 800 500. 500 is a little bit tough to deal with in Rare Cluster only. A lot of the spells end up dealing 400, so this guy is kind of okay within Rare Cluster. This guy could be complemented with the variant Stone Tusk Basilisk, which makes a Resonator unable to block. If you're going for face, it's pretty good, but what this guy will offer you is to trade into a 3-cost card. Generally 3-drops should have 800 defense. This guy can trade into it if he attacks into it. That's pretty good. Next we have Kirik's partner. What red lacks is a lot of draw. This guy offers a little bit of reprieve for that. Now the stats aren't great at 600, but he does have flying. He gives you J-Ruler flying, so there's a little bit of trade-off there. When this card enters the field, put target Battle Art's chant from your graveyard into your hand. So the Battle Art is really Hellflame. We can see here that its trait is Battle Arts. So you can get your 1-cost removal spell back for super cheap. The other Battle Arts we run is Burning Awakening, High Speed as well, and we'll play Dragon Breath as well. So I'll talk about them a little bit. Dragon Breath is super important in this cluster, I think, because it is one of the only like high-powered board clears. Sure, we have the 4-cost red removal flame style, dealing only 700, whereas this can scale up much higher. And it's scalable for 3-cost. Sure, it only hits without flying, but there's not a lot of good target flying within the set. So we run Dragon Breath at 2. It's really good. You can fetch it back. This is probably a hard counter to Elf Tribal. The other Battle Arts we have is High Speed. High Speed will give your Resonator Swiftness, and then you can awaken it by removing 4 strength counters. The awakening is less desirable. What we're looking for is giving Remnant Swiftness to target Resonator and 200. There are some surprise lethals that you can find with this card, stacking it on things. Burning Awakening is our other Battle Arts card. This is much of a finisher. As an additional cost to this card, remove 5 strength counters from your J/Ruler. Target J/Resonator gains +1000 until end of turn. Gives you like a way to find lethal from a long way out. And that's pretty desirable in this deck. So you establish board control very early through high tempo oriented resonators and through cheap 1-cost removal, and then to find lethal from way out. That's what we're going for. So one of the ways that you regain strength counters is with Food Supplier. This is an important card, especially once you Judgment. Once you Judgment, you can kind of struggle to keep your counters up, and Food Suppliers is the answer for that. Put 5 strength counters on your J/Ruler, draw a card. At 1-cost quick cast, it means that at the end of your opponent's turn, or even on the chase, if your opponent plays around you not having strength counters, you can suddenly gain strength counters, let the Food Supply resolve, and then you can activate your J-Ruler ability to spend the counters and ping something. It's some good combat trick that your opponent will then have to play around, even though that you don't have strength counters on the board. One of the other strength counter gainers is Gourmet Chef Shera. So this is a 4-cost card, pretty expensive in the scheme of things for only 1,000, but it does put 10 strength counters on your J/Ruler. So if we consider going to 10 on your J-Ruler side, that you're tapping your ruler, it essentially makes you pay 1 stone for gaining 10 strength counters. So this guy really only costs like 3. Yeah, because you could remove 1 void cost from this. It kind of works out alright. This guy is really good once you've Judgment and then you've spent all your strength counters. Just to get a double ping back from your J-Ruler is really important. So this guy may end up replacing Dragon of Mount Hoel as well. Dragon of Mount Hoel is one of our finisher cards, or an alternative win condition, I guess. This guy's a 4-cost. And then he takes 2 strength counters every time you attack or block. This guy is kind of limiting. I would almost cut this to play more Gourmet Chefs, but that way it like puts a lot more dependence, really. You're depending a lot more, sorry, on your J ruler. So this guy can also be a good mana sink as well later on. Say if your J ruler dies, you could start just tapping for counters, and then you could start sinking your stones, basically, your resource, into this card. Deals 300 damage to target J/Resonator. So late game, you jam this guy down. If your J rule hasn't worked out positively for you, or you're starting to lose, you can like start to mana sink this guy, as we call it. And then our last card in the deck, we have Kame, the Demon of Vice. This guy, when this card enters the field, recover target Resonator, total cost 2 or less from your opponent controls, gain control of it until end of turn. It gains swiftness until end of turn. Whenever a Resonator you control attacks, this card deals 200 damage to your opponent. Pay 1, banish a Resonator. This card gains swiftness until end of turn. So this guy is another high tempo oriented card. You're really looking to play this guy with 5 will available. So this guy will enter the field, you'll steal a 2 cost or less Resonator. You'll probably swing with it, unless it's got a good tap ability. Say maybe a Mana Dork or something. Maybe. A Melfi. That'd be pretty good. Tap. And then you can banish a Resonator. It's really suggested that you banish the Resonator that you stole, and then Kame gains swiftness. Essentially, if you pull that combo off, you'll be dealing 400 damage in total just from that to your opponent's life total, and that's pretty good. So that's for rare cluster only. If you're looking to expand into Lapis cluster, some of the cards that I would suggest is Lightning Strike. Lightning Strike early is quite important. Killing off your opponent's 1 cost or 2 cost Resonators for 1 is very good, and then it can be aimed at face to close out the game, your opponent's face that is, just to close out a tight game. We have Burn to Cinders. This is really important. You have 700 damage for 2, and that's probably the best you can get at the moment. As well, it can remove Imperishable, so that includes Lumia, that has lifelink and Imperishable, and it includes Mikage as well, who might Judgment, and that would actually cause a lot of trouble with this deck. So it's quite important, Burn to Cinders. I strongly suggest it. Another good 3-drop Resonator that I would probably take out a lot of the high cost for is Melgus. This guy could be run at 4 cost, and this guy will close out games really quickly. You pay 300 life, this card gains plus 100 and first strike until end of turn. So you can pay 300 life, and you can do that indefinitely. You could spend your entire life total if it meant that you could hit face for lethal. And gains first strike. So basically, whenever you attack into opponent's 2-drop, they have to then work on killing this guy. He's just going to soak up a lot of removal from your opponent. Next card is Sprinting Flame Horse. Inheritance, so it's an activate ability, not a spell. You can ditch that card, and then you target J/Resonate against 200/200 and swiftness till end of turn. This is important for Kirik because while he is 3 cost, he doesn't have swiftness, even though he's a J ruler that probably wants swiftness. So Sprinting Flame Horse is pretty good here, because high speed doesn't actually give J ruler swiftness, just Resonator. The last card is actually in Rare Cluster in Dino Rush, and it's been errated to say target Resonator you control deals damage equal to its attack to another Resonator. So this is secondary removal. It's not as good because your 1 cost dudes aren't crash hot. Your 1 cost dudes have 400 and then 300 attack. They're not that great. Sure, 400 is pretty good, but you're not actually killing much for 2. I just think that you have better removal in Hellflame and Lightning Strike already for a Dino Rush. So it's kind of unnecessary, but it is an option. Probably a budget option further. And then for stones, we're basically running Dragon Ore and basic Fire Magic Stones. So thanks for watching. That's the deck profile. I'm going to throw up some games of it. Thanks for watching. If you want to follow for some more content, like us on Facebook and subscribe on YouTube. Thank you very much.